One of the core values in Taylor's is that we believe in being dedicated to a culture of excellence. Now, excellence is a great word, but how? How do we actually demonstrate excellence? And in this video clip, I'm going to talk about practicing the character quality of creativity. Practically, what does it mean for us to be creative in order to achieve a spirit of excellence? Creativity is defined as approaching a need, a task, or an idea from a new perspective. Now, what does it mean to be able to see things from a new perspective? Here lies in a skill that is very necessary, and that is the skill of facilitation. Because unless we know how to facilitate team discussion and team meetings, we are not going to be able to see new perspective unless we learn the skills of being an excellent facilitator. The only perspective we have is that which belongs only to I, me, and myself. So one way to get new perspective is develop your skills as a competent facilitator. One of the challenges in being a facilitator is this: people like to talk. So for example, this person could be talking in this direction, trying to give his point of view, and this other person, usually at the same time, might also be concerned about giving his opinion concurrently with this other person. And very soon, you will have a clash, because everyone is concerned with airing their views, and more often than not they try to do it all at the same time. So your challenge as a creative facilitator, in desiring to help all of us to see things from a new perspective, is quite a challenging one. It is not that this thinking is wrong or this thinking is not right. It has to do with the sequence of the thinking that is involved. As a facilitator who is concerned about achieving excellence in thinking, somehow you need to be able to sequence their thinking so that thoughts are laid out in a systematic way and better decision making can be achieved in the process. So instead of having a free-flow discussion, I'd like to introduce the concept of parallel thinking. Parallel thinking is about putting your thoughts in the right sequence so that it can be systematically considered later on. There are basically three tracks of parallel thinking. The first track is what we called P. P stands for plus. Meaning what are the positive ideas you have concerning a particular focus or topic in discussion. So what you need to do is to set a certain time. So for example, okay, the first 10 minutes of our meeting, everybody please think in parallel and contribute towards the plus point of a particular idea or topic of discussion. No negative thoughts or criticism is allowed. Everybody think in parallel and contribute the plus points or ways to improve on the idea without being judgmental. Even if you don't feel like it, you make an effort, and this is important. Once the 10 minutes is up, you introduce another train of thought, and this other train of thought is called M. M for minus. So right now everybody has an opportunity to give areas of thinking to highlight potential weaknesses, how this idea may not be as foolproof as we thought of initially, and look for ways to plug in the gaps. Look for ways why this may not fulfill the objectives, and why, and reasons, and give reasons why the idea may not work, with the intention of improving on it later on. It's not to be critical, but really to be constructive by highlighting gaps in the thinking. And the third train of thought is called I. I stands for interesting. Any interesting ideas or derivations from what we have discussed earlier. And during this time, let's say you said, okay, for the next 15 minutes, we are going to focus on interesting ideas. So you highlight perhaps this plus point could be combined with this plus point to give you an interesting idea, or this plus point, if you modify and help to improve on this weakness, could give you an interesting idea. So it's basically a time of brainstorming, a time where ideas are put forth with no intention of killing or sieving through the ideas, but just let it flow, because this will later on help in a better and more robust perspective when it comes to decision making. As you can see here, by laying out your thoughts in parallel, people know the sequence by which they should contribute their thinking. This is sequence 1, this is sequence 2, and this is sequence 3. In other words, people will not just speak off their opinion in a free flow manner. If they do that, then there will be a clash, and this is called adversarial thinking. So in order to overcome adversarial thinking, you as the creative facilitator must be able to put in the right parallel sequence. And this particular parallel sequence thinking tool, it's called PMI. So whenever you're stuck, take about 20 minutes off and say, hey guys, let's do a PMI. Let's learn to put our thoughts out in parallel rather than in a free flow fashion. And from that angle, you will be able to gain new perspective. And with this new perspective, certainly there will be more creativity. So how do we practice a culture of excellence? We practice a culture of excellence by learning to exemplify the character quality of creativity. Now, how do you become creative? You become creative by being a competent facilitator. And how do you become a competent facilitator is when you allow for parallel thinking to take place. And in parallel thinking, the tool to be remembering is this. It's called PMI. Learn to sequence the plus, the minus, and the interesting thoughts in your discussion, and let it flow in a parallel way rather than in an adversarial and free flow fashion. Then you will be able to see things from a new perspective, and creativity is achieved and excellence is the end game. Think about it.